It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. And it's 7 p.m. in Hoboken, New Jersey. Hello, everybody. I'm Mad Dog Scipio. This is America's Podcast, What's the Buzz? And I'm joined, as I am, God help me, each and every week by Amelia the Pitbull Chapman. How are you, Amelia?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Don't even start with me. And I am joined by Big Cal Yater. Big Cal, how are you, my brother?
I'm great. How's it going, everybody?
Good.
We're all well. And joining us, our special guest, ladies and gentlemen, the man, he prefers to be called a Jerry Lewis channeler. Now, the last time Angelo Capone was on the show, we went through this. He's not a tribute artist, and he's not an impersonator. He channels Jerry. So I want everybody to welcome our frequent guest on this show. And by the way, Ange, it's been far too long. We got to have you back more often.
Oh, I thank you for that.
My friend.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be
Jerry
here.
Lewis you'll ever meet.
Thank you so much for that introduction.
And here's the thing about you, Ange. Your natural speaking voice sounds like Jerry. And that's how Jerry spoke.
Yeah, well, I've been getting this all my life. You sound like somebody. Sometimes they go like, I don't know who it is. And all of a sudden they go, oh, you sound like Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I try to not even do anything. I don't even know how to cover that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just there. And I've been like that since I'm a kid. And I just had to accept it. And that's what I did 10 years ago. And that's why I'm out there working.
Let's talk about that, Ange, because I think the last time you were here, we touched on it slightly because we had so much other things to talk about. But you were a kid, and this Jerry thing is like, it's almost like, it's going to sound like, like kooky and, spiritual and stuff, but it's almost like Jerry's spirit chose you.
Well, you hit it on the head. It is a spiritual thing. And what it is, it's a gift. It's a character that was given. Like Jerry had to come up with the character, and I just happened to have the character living inside of me because I was that kid that he was pretending to be. Because, listen, as we all know, Jerry was a brilliant guy. I mean, nobody realized the genius that he was. But
brilliant.
The amazing thing was I was so the opposite. As I told you on your show and the interviews that I do, I was dyslexic and illiterate. So when I was looking at this guy doing me, I didn't look at him as this brilliant guy. I didn't see him that. I was a kid, 9 years old, going, why is he doing this? What? How can this grown man, even though he was, at the time when I was watching him, he was 19, 20, but he was a man. And I looked at him like, why would he want to do that when I'm trying to hide it? But
that's interesting. That's really interesting. So many people, and I think you know this now, Ange, being in show business for a little while. So many people that are talented, just naturally talented, you have that inner gift. So many people like us are so painfully shy, just like that they don't want anybody to know who they are. That's why we become personalities. I become the Mad Dog because who the hell wants to listen to Angelo Scipio? But they'll listen to the Mad Dog every night.
You become the other man.
I am the other guy.
Right. Exactly. When they say to me, when I do a show and thank God we've been having great turnouts and great shows. They say to my wife, boy, you must laugh. She says, what? He's nothing like this home. I have to call him. I have to talk. He's nothing like this. And they look at her like, wow. And it's the truth. I'm normally a shy guy. I have to be pushed into a conversation, and when that happens, then, I have something to talk about, which I feel good about. And that's why I talk. If I don't have something good to say, I just keep quiet.
Interesting stuff. Amelia, pick up on with our friend Ange.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because you want to just be yourself. You don't want to be a character. You want to be your own person. And
Exactly.
you just want to relax, right?
And even more, why is because I was that real character as that clumsy kid that not as smart as the rest of them in school. And I was always not asked to do something. I'm hiding behind that kid.
Right.
It doesn't make me want to say, here I am, because I was always, here I'm not.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So the Jerry makes me, here I am, because what's great about the Jerry Lewis show, movies, lounge show, Jerry made so many mistakes on that stage that he can fix it, because a mistake was okay, because that's the character he was playing, a mistake.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
He was playing a mistake.
Here's the thing about making a mistake. It was meant to happen. That's always
Beautiful, Edge. You got it right on the head.
Exactly. Hey, look, Edge, when we screw up on this show, no, the only two people the only three people who know about it are Cal, Amelia, and myself, because I'm going to prove my point.
Go ahead.
This is the second time we went live tonight, okay?
Yeah.
I did a whole intro and realized that we weren't on the air.
Yeah.
So you have your moments.
I'm not even kidding.
It's not kidding.
Beautiful.
I did a whole intro.
See, now I know who I can hang out with. You three.
Exactly. Now ask Amelia, am I lying?
No, I said that we're not live yet. He's like, we're not, are we?
Yeah, she said, we're not live,
That's nice.
Oh,
that's nice
damn.
to hear. That's nice to hear.
Yeah,
But
I did the whole intro and everything. It was crazy.
I love to make a mistake. Like we did our last show last week, and when I do Carmen Miranda, I put the Carmen Miranda outfit
Oh,
on.
my favorite.
Oh my God, yes.
I pasted two, like I broke an orange and I paste them as my breath. But what happened is, usually my wife comes in the back. She gives me a little helping hand because I got to put it on my head. You gotta understand, I'm on these heels and I'm like trying to stay up. I put the nuts on the back and I'm walking out. Guys, I'm laughing because I know I don't have time to pull this off, put it back on. And I said, it's okay. So the first thing I never come out of a stage. I don't like a stage. I come from the back. I come from the side. I go right to the people. So I went to this guy. I said, come on, you got to, as Jerry, I'm saying, you got to help me. I got these heels. So guys always get shy. The women always jump up there. The guys get shy. As we're walking, I said, you do me a favor. Could you scratch my nut in the back? Everybody thought I did it on purpose.
That's so
my wife
funny.
said, that was great. Did you figure it out? I said, hon, I made a mistake. She says, keep making mistakes, Ange, because you are a mistake. I said, okay. But meanwhile, everybody thought I did it. Now I'm going to do it. Like the next show, I'm going to try it that way.
Oh, my God, absolutely.
Yeah. So I learned from the mistakes, but it's great. It's great.
Ange, let me introduce you to the newest member of our team. This is Cal Yater. Cal
How you doing,
is
Cal?
How you doing,
a
Angelo?
pop culture expert. He's also an aspiring actor.
Beautiful.
And sometimes Johnny Depp lookalike. and Cal, so you got questions for Ange about Dean Martin or Jerry Lewis or becoming Jerry? Let's talk.
I mean, Jerry Lewis, he inspired, like, he was the biggest thing for, in every genre, just about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like how do you channel him? Like
how? I don't know.
Very easily.
I don't know. I put him in my head. I always have his face. The character face, not the Jerry face, the character face. Yeah. Because I'm more of the mannerism. I have the mannerism of him. And when you got the mannerism of anybody, you could easily become that character. When you have to put it on, like an impersonator, you have to hope they're seeing it. But when you have the mannerism, they're already seeing it before you even do it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when I was a kid looking in the mirror, and when in Jerry's movies, when he made a mistake and he would look around like, I don't know, I really didn't want to go over there, but and I would just go with it because it was me doing it.
Right.
Why do
And
you
then-
do that when I have coffee in my mouth, Angelo?
Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
You notice that I gave you we have our new promo. And
Yeah.
in the beginning of the new promo, Dean and Jerry are really singing the song Partners.
Yeah.
So I sent the promo out to people to test. What do you think? They said, you know what they loved about it? When the song ends, I come on right away conducting the band and they hear my voice.
Yeah.
They think now
It's the
that
same
we
voice.
were singing the song.
Can we go? That's a great segue, Ange. I want to go. Guys, take a listen to this.
Yeah.
You and me, we're gonna be partners. You and me, we're gonna be pals.
All right, everybody give me a warm up right now.
Oh, thank good boy.
Accustomed to the tune you whistle not new. Her smiles, her frowns, her ups, her downs. Brother, you don't know that's an occupation.
It's a job?
Matter of fact, don't feel bad, cause neither do I. Try standing on a corner, watching all the girls, watching all the girls, watching all the girls go by. When you are in a dream, but no, you're not missing your rain. Schools of me, but you see that they don't have only that's amore. Signore, that's amore.
You and me, we're gonna be partners. You and me, we're gonna be pals.
And that
Yay.
is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
Well,
Our guest is Angelo Capone, one of America's top Jerry Lewis. Just for the sake of it, tribute artist, but he's really a channeler because he not just becomes Jerry, but he lives with Jerry every day.
Yeah,
He lives with the character.
Mhm.
All the characters Jerry created. Who's your favorite, Ange? I never asked that.
Oh, that is that. That's hard. I mean, I love the Nutty Professor. When he came out with that put his career on the next level.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't believe after Nutty Professor he could have stayed up there, which, by the 70s he was done. And he had that 60 flavor that was like with the Dean. But the Nutty Professor put him in another character that he had to get serious now. He had to be more of a movie guy, where when he did movies with Tony Curtis, because he lost that childhood thing. That's what I'm trying to say. That childhood
you told
lives
us
in me.
before, Ange. I remember you just said something that triggered something from the last time you were here. It might have even been before that. That one of the things that happened to Jerry is he lost the little boy.
He lost the little boy. Yeah.
Yeah. The little boy, he was the little boy.
Yeah.
And the little boy had to grow up.
The little boy did grow up.
Yeah.
Because he was so brilliant. He was so smart. He couldn't sustain it.
Right.
Now, flip side is me.
Yeah.
That little boy never left me.
Yeah.
When I'm going to be 72 years old.
God bless.
When he was 50, it was gone. He had to push it. He used to scream and do things that I got turned off by. When he used to put the water glass in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
And, it wasn't it wasn't him anymore. Meaning him, that little boy. But you got to understand something, which is I always allow people to know in interviews that little boy wasn't discovered until Dean came in his life.
Yeah.
You got to understand, before Dean came in, he was a little boy. He was 18.
Yeah, true.
He was 18 years old when he met Dean. Dean was 28.
Yeah.
There's 10 years difference. You know what 28 to 18 is?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So and remember his act. He
big
started,
brother, like an uncle.
He was a big brother. He was a big brother. So his act was a pantominer. Now, what was great about that, because I was dyslexic and I wasn't good speaking and my words got screwed up, what do you think I did at 5 and 6 years old?
Yeah, pantomime, sure.
I used to look in the mirror and sing Bobby Darin, Dream Lover. I used to sing Elvis Presley and do Stuck on You. Put the hair up. I had dark black hair and black and pantomime. So when I seen him pantomime, I was like, it got me scared because there were so many things that we did.
Yeah.
But the thing that kept me going was when he lost it. I felt I took this personal, not in a ego way or pride way. I took it as I own it.
Yeah.
And I had to run with it now.
Can we talk about that? And Amelia, you and I have had many impersonators, lookalikes, tribute artists on the show.
Right.
We have another one coming up. The world's, straight up, I know this guy. I grew up with this guy. I remember him. And Ange, I'm going to tell you how much you have in common with this guy.
Okay.
His name's Steve McCoy.
Yes.
Okay. Steve McCoy is the world's foremost, probably the greatest Tom Jones impersonator in the world.
We were friends when I was on Facebook. We used to talk.
Okay, so you know who Steve is. Okay. I grew up with Steve. And I'm going to tell you something about Steve McCoy. From the time he was 8, listen to what I'm saying to you.
Go ahead.
From the time he was 8, he was pantomiming Tom Jones records in his mother's basement and charging people in the neighborhood a nickel to see him.
Well, you see, that's a channel. That's channeling.
Okay.
That's channeling.
I respect
the same guy now, Ange, that was charging people a nickel for his mother's basement, God rest her soul, is making, like 7 figures a year. And I'm not going to say exactly, but he's making 7 figures a year in the millions. Okay.
Amen. Amen. Amen to that.
Because he did. Here's the thing, though. Tom Jones is still alive.
Yeah.
And Steve McCoy can age with Tom Jones.
Yeah, he's in the
Elvis
perfect.
Presley is dead.
Right.
Jerry Lewis is dead.
Right.
Although he had a good run. He lived to be in his 90s, but he's still the point is,
92.
yeah, he's not here no more.
Yeah.
And I have a serious question to ask you, and I want my panel here to pop in on this.
Sure.
When you have a guy, Ange, the magnitude of Jerry, who had a long life and is known for a lot of things, including some not so good things, Ange.
Right.
Let's
Right.
be honest about it, right?
Yeah.
And when you have a guy like that who could have been funnier than funny and as miserable could be,
Yeah.
because he was very moody. He could flip on a dime, they say.
Yeah, definitely.
And so how do you, as the channeler, as the guy who's becoming, how do you reconcile your energy, your spirit? How do you keep it fresh for you so that it's fun for you?
I think that's the easiest question I ever got.
Well, I'm glad I could do it, bro.
I love it. This is why
cool.
This is the difference between me and Jerry. Jerry and I share the character. Jerry and I have the same vision, but Jerry never had peace. I have peace. I know, number one, I'm a God-fearing man. I know who I serve. And without faith, there's fear. I don't really believe Jerry had any faith but only in himself.
And I absolutely agree with you.
He didn't agree with Dean. He had the best of the best. And Dean proved it till the day he died. He had the best of the best and ruined that.
Yeah.
He had the best of the best of Patty Palmer, who was his wife, who gave him a family, plus backed him. She was right in front of him, and he blew that. So things like that only show me you have to lose an inner peace, or you never had it.
Yeah.
My personal thing, I don't think Jerry ever had inner peace.
Yeah.
He pretended.
And I've heard other people say, almost echoing the same thing. I had Jerry's manager, his longtime manager, Rick Sapphire.
Rick
And
Sapphire.
you and I know Rick.
Yeah.
Rick doesn't live very far from here. He only lives about 10 minutes from here. Rick and I spoke often about Jerry and the troubled spirit that Jerry was.
Right.
And Rick said something interesting. He said Jerry was always, and these are his words, Jerry was always chasing the high.
Always. It's this saying that that's in the Bible, that a man who wants to earn money never has enough.
Yeah.
He never had enough of himself. There was always had to be more.
Yeah.
And when you don't have more, how could you ever walk and have peace in your heart? You can't, because everything and everybody's going to be in your way.
It's funny you say that, Ange, because it reminds me of one of my favorite scriptural quotes, which is, and I live with it every day. And it's funny how you said that Jerry never got enough, because it is, what profit a man to gain the world but to lose his own soul?
There it is.
And that was Jerry, because he had everything.
And what did he lose? His
He
soul.
lost his soul. Yeah.
He lost his soul. So when I go out and do my Jerry and I do my interviews, or if I after a show talk to a person, I always let them know my character is something we share, but I own it.
Exactly.
I own it because he even lost the character as much as he lost his friend. Here was a guy who was sitting on the top of the world with the Rat Pack, his best friend, Sammy Davis, his partner, Dean Martin, and his loyalty to Frank Sinatra, and he could never hit that stage with them. What does that tell you? You know what it was?
Think about that. Yeah.
You know what it really was? This is my personal thing. Sammy, Frank, and Dean loved him unconditional, but they knew they couldn't share the stage with him anymore.
Nope.
They gave him the time and day when it was needed.
Yeah.
With Frank coming on that telethon, Dean coming on that telethon, and you know, I gave you the story. I was there that whole week in Vegas. Sammy, being who he was, learned all the comedy. Sammy did Jerry Lewis. Everything Sammy did was Jerry Lewis. But they knew they had to distance themselves because they were afraid of who he really was.
And you know, the other thing is, once Jerry got on the stage, he had to own it. He couldn't stop, and he couldn't help himself.
That's why they didn't put him on.
Yeah, you know what it's like. He gets on a stage and he just has to take over. It becomes the Jerry Lewis show.
And that's all the time.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Someone said to me, "What do you think about Jerry and what he did?" I said, "Listen, I'll tell you what he did. Give me one big star that he had in a movie."
Yeah.
Only Tony Curtis, because now he wasn't Jerry Lewis the character, he was Jerry Lewis the man. Yeah. So he took Tony because they grew up together with Dean. They had their fun, but Tony Curtis was the other Dean, suave, cool. What star did he ever have? He used in his movie The Ladies Man. He had George Raft. George Raft was from the 30s.
Yeah, old-time actor from the 30s that nobody even remembered back then.
Exactly. He didn't bring nobody that was bigger than him to follow. Yep. Why? He had to be the guy. He had to be the guy. And you know what's funny? That's the spirit that's in me. The spirit that's in me has that willingness to want to be with others. I love when Dean, my Robert Cabela, is singing. And now we have this chemistry, and we came back and we settled things, understood that it was about me and him. It wasn't about a Rat Pack show. When I'm putting my calming dress on, if I'm putting the nutty teeth on, I'm listening to him singing, and I'm like, wow, I can't wait to get out there.
Robert is really, I didn't realize how good Robert Cabela was.
No, he you know, they all go through singers are very hard to break down their wall. And because, you know, I had Sinatra impersonators tell me when we did a show together, you know, they really come to see Sinatra, not you. And, you know, all I had to do was like, yes them to death. Okay, that's fine.
Sure.
Okay. Because if I was the real Jerry Lewis character, I would have told him in a nice way to go.
Yeah.
You know what? That's not, that's not right. That's not in me. I don't have that. Why? Yeah. I'm grateful for who's on the stage with me. The bigger the show, though, I love it more. Why? Because it only gives me more of my identity. Yeah. People don't understand that. When Robert's being Dean and when I do Jerry, that identity comes out even more.
Absolutely.
So in other words, when they're doing that Rat Pack show, they're all doing the song. They're all holding the mic the same. They're all walking the same. But me and Dean are totally different. Yeah. He's doing his walk, his talk, his song. I'm doing my skit, my walk, my talk. And we become a show. We're the show. And I always allow people know we don't have a performance. We have a show. We have an act. You will see more than someone just plugging their mic in and singing.
Yeah, exactly. Amelia.
And that gives me the thrill.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Amelia.
You know how you were saying earlier about where Jerry would have been. Do you feel yourself showing people how Jerry would have been if he would have just let himself be Jerry and not say, "Oh, I'm Jerry Lewis," instead of just
Well,
taking the hit?
what could have been? I
Hmm.
put a show together for two brothers called What Could Have Been was, and then the show was, and they walked away, even though we had 3 successful shows, because again I was in the way as a Jerry. But I put a Bobby Darin and a Frank Sinatra. What could have been? They never performed together on stage, so it made me understand I could never be what could have been for Jerry, because there was no what could have been, because he showed the world already after he did his character. In other words, he was who he was after he was that person that made him Jerry Lewis the comic.
Here's the thing, and I want this is a cautionary tale, Cal and Amelia. Angelo already knows this. Here's the cautionary tale. When you become you, and the people see that, it's often one of 2 things happens. It's either A, the end of your career, or the beginning of the end of your career, or number 2, they come to embrace who you are. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. Frank Sinatra.
Oh, I knew you were going to say it. Go ahead.
Okay, it's Frank Sinatra. Frank was the same guy on the stage that he was at home eating dinner. He was Frank Sinatra 24/7.
That's right.
Jerry Lewis was the funny guy in the nutty and Cinderella and all these movies. But off camera, and Ange can tell you, I'm not making any of this up.
Right.
He was a son of a bitch.
You know
I
what's
heard
funny?
that.
You know what's funny how you just said Sinatra. Sinatra all the years got the report and the news of being what Jerry really was, and Sinatra wasn't that bad guy. He wasn't. He was he was what Frank was all about, because I drove a little bit for 3 years in his circuit when I used to drive his wife, or the friends when they used to concert. He was a loyal man. Whoever was loyal to him, you couldn't have a better friend. Yeah. And I always said, somebody said, what happened to the person that wasn't loyal to him? Well, what'd you do if somebody wasn't loyal to you? Do you make them hang on your back, or you brush them off?
He
brushed them off because he couldn't trust them. But as for a guy not getting a break, Sinatra never got the break. You know why Sinatra didn't get the break? I have learned all these years later, because he wasn't Hollywood. Hollywood is a club. Hollywood is a club. You sell your soul to Hollywood, you'll get soup to nuts. If you don't, because of your talent, they have to keep you there. Why? They want money.
They're making money.
Keeps everybody.
But we've done a number of shows on this program, Ange. You could not have pinpointed it better.
Yeah.
If you sell your soul, you can have what you want. But here's what the problem is. When the devil comes to get his due, you better have it to pay back, or you are paying dearly.
But let me just add something to that, Ange. There is no due, because he's going to take it anyway.
Exactly.
He's going to take it.
He's a taker. So it's better to fight it before you give up, because in the end you'll be the winner.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's who Frank Sinatra was. Yep. He fought his way from the beginning.
And the other thing that I think was very prominent is that Frank never forgot that he was a guy from Jersey.
Exactly.
He never forgot he was a Jersey boy. Questions for Angelo Capone.
Yeah, but Jerry did.
Oh wow!
Jerry forgot. He forgot he was from Newark. Yeah,
exactly. You never heard him talk about Jerry. He wasn't even that Jersey kid anymore.
No,
he was Hollywood.
Yeah, in
gotta remember,
one
they
movie.
gave
It's
him
funny.
the Paramount Theater. Remember? They gave him the Paramount Theater for 10 years.
Yeah.
So he was Hollywood. And that
Yeah.
was the sad part about it. He actually, he sold his soul. And
Yeah.
then, listen, you don't think that they threw him off the MDA?
Oh,
Of course
sure they did. Of course.
They threw him right out. 50
Absolutely.
years of getting money, doing this, doing that. They threw him out because they know, hey, he's old now. We don't need him no more. But you know what? Hollywood had the power to throw him off. He didn't have the power that he thought he had.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. Not he.
So think about it.
He surely did not. Go ahead,
And that's why I believe he went out on tour at an old age. He wanted to show the world I'm still in power.
Oh, well, we're going to talk about right after Amelia gets her round of questions. We're going to talk about that. Then
Okay.
then the cow's going to jump in. Go ahead, Mel.
Oh, of course, absolutely. I know that you have different shows that you do different times, but is there a show that you have done before that doesn't work in one town but does work in another?
Believe it or not, no. I think it's the act. I think you could take the act to the zoo and the animals will laugh.
Oh, cool.
Because
it's the kind of show, and I will say this because I saw it, and I can say this objectively.
And
Not
you've
just
seen
saying
it. But wait, Ange, you've seen it with somebody who really wasn't as good as Robert.
Right. Yeah.
You've seen it with Phil. There is no comparison. There is
I know. They're two different acts. Two
different acts.
Singers. Yeah.
Two different acts.
Different singers.
And that
but
was the hardest
thing. I will tell you that what you bring to it, because we're only talking about you tonight. But I would love to have a show, and Amelia, we're gonna book this. I would love to have you and Robert come on together.
I was going to ask if we can.
Absolutely, yes, of course.
Because now we are the act. We are the act.
Cool.
Exactly.
It finally came to that. We came to that. That's why, like the band. You see that band? I got a tremendous band behind me.
Oh, I saw it.
Man,
you had the Starlight Orchestra.
Starlight Orchestra. I got from 10 to 17 piece. I'm just praying to God opens that door to get us on stage.
Yep.
Because now you talk about realness.
Yeah.
We get that band behind Robert and me conducting and me getting involved with the band members. It will be just as more real.
Yeah.
More live. And it will just bring it to the surface of who they really were.
I'm going to see in October. I'm going to see a Rat Pack show at the Broadway Theater in Pittman. They've got a 30-piece orchestra.
And who's the guys? Who's the guys?
The guy doing Sammy has an unusual name. He's a young black guy. Oh man, what the hell is his name? I used to know his name. Damn, I'll get it for you.
Who's the Sinatra?
I think his name is Dupree. Sound like the name Dupree. Okay. I don't know who's doing Dean, but Frank is definitely some guy named Dupree.
Okay.
And I don't know his first name. Maybe Mike Dupree or Dave Dupree, something like that.
Okay.
Some kind of and he's not Italian.
No.
But he doesn't really sound like Frank, but he looks a lot like.
I don't think, my personal opinion, which I had to research because I was looking for the dean when Robert left and I had to go find someone. And all the other deans that I worked with didn't work because they weren't unique. They all had to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
When I was looking for that dean, and most of them I looked in the Rat Pack shows.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that shocked me was that I don't like any Sinatra that I hear. They just sing Sinatra songs, and that's the catch for that Sinatra. He can just sing a Sinatra song, and they'll be happy to hear a Sinatra song.
Yeah.
But my thing is, if they really had a guy, I mean, I think I have one of the best Frank Sinatras that are out there, Frank Frizzalone. But and it's about just getting the break to go out and be all together and get the package that we want. It's just so hard. So I'm working as much as I can. I got the band. I even put a new show together.
Yeah.
Now you remember Dean Martin was big in the country charts.
Sure.
Back in the 60s. So I came up with a show, and one of their last movies was Partners, which they played cowboys. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a show, Dean and Jerry Go West. And what that show is, it begins from the beginning to the middle. Robert is gonna do all the country hits that Dean did, and we're gonna be cowboys. He's gonna be the dress cowboy with the nice tie, nice jacket. We got the outfit. Me, I'm gonna have the chaps and the hair and the big hat and the funny looking cowboy. And I'm even gonna be an Indian in there with all makeup all over.
Oh my God!
And from the beginning to the middle, it's gonna be all the country hits that he did. Then I'm gonna come out as the bellboy. And when I come out as the bellboy, I'm going to come out and say, I have a telegram from Mr. Martini, Mr. Martin. And he's going to say, what do you got? All right. Now he's in his cowboy thing. I'm going to say, roses are red, carnations are pink. Your country songs have lost their swing. And as for me, they stink. So do yourself a favor and sing those songs that made you who you are. The King of Cool, signed Frank Sinatra. Now, because Frank wasn't crazy about country.
Nah,
From
not
that
at all.
point on, Robert's going to say as Dean, you know what, Pally? I think you're right. I think we got to bring out a little swing for the rest of the show. Then from that point on,
I tell you what,
we're going to go back to the lounge act with the tuxes.
And I just took my family to the Broadway in Pittman to see an amazing young Italian singer named Sal Valentinetti.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah,
Sal is he does Sinatra without
he's
even
from
trying.
Long Island. Yeah,
great kid. Great, and we hung out with him. We got took some pictures and stuff. Great guy. And a young guy like that, who understands, who gets it. Why aren't there any more younger people who get it?
They don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
But listen, this is what happened since 1990 up until today. Everybody got pop cultured.
Mm-hmm.
They took the culture. It isn't a culture. It's a pop culture. Culture means where it came from. Where it came from.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Dean and Jerry opened the door for everybody. They were the lounge act that opened Vegas up where it was never the same. That's why Sinatra knew to get Dean, get Sammy, and did what they did and put themselves on the stage the way Dean and Jerry did it. Think about it. He took the main route of the Dean and Jerry, which was Dean Martin. He took Sammy Davis, who acted like Jerry in everything he did, and Sinatra was that smart that he said, I'm going to bring back what Dean and Jerry did for this world. They brought the movie, the lounge, and everything in between in those two guys, which was the ad-libbing, was the songs, was the comedy, was the stand-up, all wrapped up into these two guys. Frank was smart. Then that's why Vegas became Vegas. That's why in those days, the culture was the American way, because from World War II, when these guys, the first generation, opened the door and TV came out in 1949, and that was the culture. This is who we are. Pop culture destroyed that. Why? They didn't want to be bothered to learn.
Exactly.
That's what it was. They don't want to learn.
Speaking of pop culture, our pop culture expert, I'm sure, is going to chime in on that one. Big Cal Yater.
Tell me.
Well, pop culture, I mean, it's all different now.
Yeah.
Now they tell you who's popular and who's not. And honestly, like Taylor Swift's a big example. I don't know anybody that actually, she gets so glorified, yet it's I have to be honest, it's terrible.
But you just said that, you just gave the definition. Pop culture is something made. Our culture was something given.
Yes.
Dean and Jerry were a gift. Taylor Swift ain't a gift. There's 100 Taylor Swifts. They made her. Yeah. They made her who she was. Now, like you could say, well, Jerry's the same. No. Here's the difference. Every comic after Jerry wanted to be Jerry.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, nobody really wants to be her. That's why you have your 15 minutes of fame on YouTube. That's why you have Facebook, because they all want to say, I'm the next pop culture, not I'm the next given talent. I'm the next pop culture. That's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And
that's why there are. That's why there are 200,000 Elvis impersonators running around the world.
Exactly.
There's nothing. Look, any idiot who can sing, can put on a jumpsuit and go, well, Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
See, that's an impersonator.
Thank you.
That's an impersonator. And you see, you got to think. I sit here every night. 72. I say, good Lord, how many years I got left here? You know what I mean?
A lot.
And I'm like saying, just give me that one time to be like the Steve that's doing Tom Jones. Give me just that one step. Why? Not because of the ego, it's because Jerry meant something to the world. And when I sit here and go, I own this. Yeah. How many Jerry Lewises are out? People imitating what I do.
Yeah.
I did Carmen. I never seen Carmen. All of a sudden, I seen two guys putting on Carmen dress on. Someone had to call me and said, Ange, I know they seen you. I was like, wow. And then I said, well, where are they now? They're going to go away because they can't do what you did.
Yeah.
Because you created... You created the new Carmen by making it an act. Nobody did it.
No.
The Nutty Professor. You have the mannerisms. You have, and I'm like, I watch all these 1,000 guys going, running this, and I'm like, I need to. God, I hope my legs at 75 could run, because I'm not 55. But I said, all right, I got to look at it like. There's a reason why I'm doing it now. Because I didn't do it when I was 20. I didn't do it when I was 30, 40, 50.
Yeah.
62, I started.
Can I tell you something? Guys like you and me, and I'm going to speak for you on this behalf. Guys like you and I, we're late bloomers in life. We are achieving our best in later years.
Yeah, I just hope it
Who
stays.
would think? Who would? Let me tell you something. And people who listen to this show, they know. I've been on radio and television since I was 18. Okay?
God bless.
Since I'm 18. And I live for radio. I'll take radio over TV every day of the week. Every day.
Yeah, me too.
Because you can get away with things on radio you just can't get away with on TV.
Well, I think on radio you could be who you are.
Well, and that's the thing. But now I've lived long enough to be who I don't want to be.
Exactly.
Now I can be the mad dog.
Very good.
Now I'm old enough to get away with shit I couldn't get away with.
Right. Things you wanted to say. Things you wanted to say.
And now I can say them and people just go, oh, damn, well, listen to this guy,
Right. Right.
But we have an audience of like almost 17 million subscribers.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And we're in 32 countries and we're translating.
Well, I hope someone out there says, I want to give that guy a break.
Well, I would love to be able to, again, I want to try again, man. I got to get you and John together with the people at the Broadway Theater in Pittman.
Yeah, I've been trying to get in there. I
got to get you there.
I believe the owner is Gary. I believe the guy's name is Gary. I have his personal number. I leave messages. What do I have to do to get in there? And they'll give me this is what I really don't understand.
Well, I'll tell you who owns the place.
Yeah.
It's not Gary.
Who's the owner?
The guy that owns the place is Peter Slack.
Oh, well, they gave me Gary's number. This guy, Gary somebody. So I don't know.
Gary is the, I want to say like artistic director, that kind of thing. Yeah, he's the artistic director.
Yeah, well,
the guy, the owner of, and this is a public record. I'm not, dropping it. I'm not name dropping here.
Right.
The guy who owns the Broadway Theater, it's public knowledge. His name is Peter Slack.
Okay. The thing they always give me this is, oh, well, you're like the Rat Pack show. And I'm like, for you to tell me that, you really make me question the answers you give to people, because I don't want to hear that answer. I'm nothing like the Rat Pack. The Dean and Jerry is nothing like the Rat Pack.
Right.
And it's like,
it's a completely different show.
Right. And we're on the same shelf, the way Tom Jones and Humperdinck are, but we're not judged the way Tom Jones and Humperdinck are. They just look at me as not that we're the same. I'm like, we're not the same.
Let me just prove something to you. You just said something. Boy, did you say a mouthful, Ange.
Yeah.
Humperdinck. All right? People like that. Engelbert Humperdinck is 86 years old. 85 years old, right? 86. Johnny Mathis is 87 years old. He's still selling out at 87 years old.
I know.
Engelbert Humperdinck, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. Gary Puckett is 79 years old and just sold out 7 concerts in a row.
And you know what? You know what makes me laugh? The other flip side of this, they go, well, you know what? You're Jerry. Your audience is dead. Dead.
What?
We're the ones who spend. Your pop culture kids from 30 to 50 don't even spend the way the 60s and the 90-year-olds sell. Because when I do a show, they come out of the woodwork. We always do from 100 to 250, 300 people in a show.
I got news for you. Ange, let me just tell you something, because it's going to make me crazy. I said we went to see Sal Valentinetti.
Right.
I think Sal himself and my daughter were the youngest people in the place, because everybody else was 50 and over.
So when they tell me you don't have the audience, I gave a challenge. I said, get my show on your stage. I'll show you. It will sell.
There you go.
Why? Yeah. You just gave the answer that I give them. I said, Humperdinck is still out there, 85. How come he sells out?
Yeah.
Because his people are waiting, which is our audience waiting for these shows to come. You're making it hard. You're making it hard. All you got to do is
sold out the Borgata again.
Yeah. All you got to do is give me one shot. Take a shot. You got nothing to lose by saying, let me try Martin and Lewis with a band, and we'll sell it out and see what happens. I said, I know what's going to happen. You just don't have the nerve to do it. That's all. And that's what I believe it is. They just don't have the nerve. They're comfortable. Once something gets there, they repeat the same. Bring them. Change it up. Change it up.
Let me tell everybody what's coming up. I want to tell everybody that Angelo Capone and Robert Cabela will be together doing Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis at the American Hotel at 1820 East Main Street in Freehold, New Jersey. His phone number there is 732-431-3220 on Friday night, June 20th. It's from 7 p.m. to 10. And if you're watching on any of our television outlets, including Roku and Tubi TV, take a look at this. This is an amazing show. I think you're going to love it. This is Robert Cabela. He's that Dean guy, that handsome fella there. There's Ange. And Ange looks like that all the time.
I sleep like that.
And that's the American Hotel again at 1820 East Main Street, Freehold, New Jersey. Ticket price, by the way, it's $65 for the VIP, $55 for general admission. Your ticket price includes a full dinner and show, and dessert is included. And again, it's starring Robert Cabela as Dean Martin and Angelo Capone as Jerry Lewis. Proceeds will benefit the people in the community of downtown Freehold, New Jersey. Right. Please make it to this show. I am going to my damnedest to try to get there. I promise I'm going to try to get my wife out of the house again, and maybe put some chicken cutlet down her throat.
That'd be nice.
Or whatever they're having
I would really love for you to see this, Dean.
I would like to. Yeah, I would love to see it. It's a different show too.
Yeah, it's a different show.
I want people to know that it's a different show. This is again Robert Cabela and Angelo Capone, and I'll tell you what. I put this poster together for you, Ange, and I keep it, use it, alter it however you want. It's your gift now. You take it,
Thank you
and make a lot of money with it. Let's do this. I want to pull this out of here. I want to let's see, Cal. Final round of questions for Ange.
Whenever you get into the character of Jerry Lewis and you try to go back to Angelo, do you ever catch yourself still bringing some of that Jerry
all day long, kid? All day long.
Yeah, because like I do, I would call myself an impressionist, and sometimes I catch myself afterwards still doing people's voices.
Okay. Yeah, it's because you're living it.
Mm-hmm.
You're living it. You understand where I started at 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
This is 60-something years later.
Yeah.
How can I not do it? Because it is me. It is, like when I spill something in front, like if I'm at a party and I spill my drink, they go, look at Ange, he's doing Jerry. Meanwhile, I'm like, no, this was me right now. I really spilled this drink.
Yeah.
And my face expressions and my look is all about Jerry because it's the real character.
Yeah.
See, Jerry put that character. What happens when Jerry would, I believe the real Jerry Lewis, if he spilled something, he would be blank. Because he did Jerry, he had to be something because he was somebody else. That something is really me.
And I think the biggest problem with Jerry, and I had this conversation with Rick Sapphire, and I've had this conversation with our guest that will be here tomorrow night, Eddie Deason, who has been compared to Jerry Lewis.
Okay.
And by the way, if Ange, this an open invite. If you'd like to join me tomorrow night with Eddie Deason, you're more than welcome to.
I like to meet him if I could get the.
He would love it. Actually,
just give me a link.
Eddie's an awesome guy.
Yeah, he would. And Cal knows him. He knows him well. Jerry and I, not Jerry. Listen to me. Eddie and I have the same publicist. I have my publicist is his manager. Shout out to Steve Joyner. So yeah, and and God bless Cal because he's got to drive him around. I'll tell you the story about that one day.
What kind of show does Eddie do?
He's right now. He's doing autograph conventions. He's doing podcasts. He's doing some TV, but people remember him from the Polar Express. He played the bratty kid in the Polar Express.
Okay.
He played Eugene in Grease. The nerd.
Okay.
He was in 1941 with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
Cool.
Cal, give me some other credits for Eddie.
Okay, he was Malvin in War Games. He's
War
also
Games,
done
yes.
work. Yeah, with Matthew Broderick back when Matthew was like 15 years old.
Yeah.
Of course he was Mandark. Did you mention Mandark?
No, I haven't.
Oh, he was Mandark in Dexter's Laboratory, which is a cartoon I grew up watching.
Yeah.
He was Snipes in a Don Bluth movie called Rockadoodle back in like 1989 or 1990.
Wow.
And pull up a picture of Eddie so people understand what we're talking about here. Because I'll pull him. Let's see, where the hell is he? We got. Here he is, right here. Here's Eddie. Hot damn! I found him.
Yeah, there he is.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, he's been compared to Jerry his whole career.
Wow.
He's got a very, his voice is very similar to yours. He's got a high pitched.
Right. Right. He's got that silly putty face too.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got a rubbery face for sure.
Right.
He's a big fan of Jerry Lewis too.
Oh, huge fan. He's a big Elvis fan too. But yeah, Eddie will be here tomorrow night. I'd love it for you guys to meet. Because I think you'll have a hell of a conversation.
Yeah, Eddie's also a Beatles historian.
Yeah, he's a big Beatles guy. Beatles guy. Amelia, final round of questions for our friend Angelo Capone.
Yeah, I noticed that you're going to be up north and everything, and the last time you came here to Florida was 2016. Do you plan on coming down here
Well,
south?
I believe it or not, 2 days ago we got in touch with Robert and I when we went to Florida 10 years ago. We got in touch with the guy who brought us there, and he's going to spend 4 to 6 months trying to sell us all around the United States. So we're praying that those doors open from Florida all the way to wherever he could take us.
Fantastic.
So that's why we made the promo, and we have the promo plus the video together, and hopefully he has his promo with his name on it and his contacts, and he makes the contact. He'll give it to me and my partner John, and we'll hopefully get the ball rolling, and we'll get calls that we never expected. That's my belief for the new season of life.
And you can catch Robert Cabela and Angelo Capone. An evening with Dean and Jerry. Fun and laughter and song and dance and a lot of good times and good food at the American Hotel at 1820 East Main Street in Freehold, New Jersey, 732-431-3220. And your ticket price includes dinner, a show, and dessert. And again, that's June 20th. It's a Friday night. So you don't have to worry about getting up the next morning to go to work. You can pull a few drinks down, or 30 or 40, and sleep in and work off that hangover the next morning with some Bloody Marys. By God. Yes, indeedy.
With a smile on your face going
with
home.
A smile on your face and a song in your heart. Probably everybody loves somebody.
Yeah.
On that note, for Angelo Capone, for Big Cal Yater, for Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, I am the Mad Dog. Take care, everybody. Be kind to each other. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.